I am not hungry, but if my body needs food, then I feed it. I am not tired, but if my body needs rest, then I let it sleep. I am not in pain, but if my body is hurt, then I heal it. These are some of the ways that become the primary functionality when one has given up on desire. Do you notice any difference? This is in stark contrast to our usual mode of operation. When people are hungry, they desire taste, flavor, and palate stimulation, then end up eating whether their body needs food or not. And with gluttony, it's not long before things like obesity, diabetes, and high cholesterol begin to crop up. When people are tired, they desire lethargy, over relaxation, and long hours of sleep, then end up resting whether their body needs it or not. And with laziness, it's not long before things like narcolepsy, insomnia, and restless leg syndrome appear. All of this turns the body into a house of pain. And when people are in pain, they desire to avoid it and then embark to counteract it with pleasure, numbness, and visceral sensation, even though it does not address the source of the pain. And it's not long before things like alcoholism, drug abuse, and depression manifest. Pleasure seeking and pain avoidance are very intertwined. Sometimes there may not be any pain at all to start out, or not any kind of pain that couldn't be addressed practically. But when we flood our body with pleasure, whether to drown the pain or not, it always leads to craving, and craving in itself is pain. This will either serve as the foundation of pain or act to pronounce already existing pain. When the pain becomes buried, it is more and more difficult to root it out. Early intervention is key. If we address pain the minute it appears and heal the source of it, instead of appeasing the symptoms, we will save ourselves a whole heap of problems. If we give pain full awareness, it won't be long before it withers away. It's about identifying what's disturbing the mind or body and removing it. In much the same way one would remove a splinter from their finger. Sometimes it can be a splinter in our minds that causes pain, but the remedy is the same. Identify it and remove it. For we are not the body and mind, but only the caretakers of a body and mind. Understanding this will bring much clarity. Understanding it not in an intellectual sense, but by direct knowing through awareness. If we know this, then we can master the body and mind. But if we identify ourselves as being the body and mind, then the body and mind master us. One way to gain awareness of this relationship is to discern between the needs of the body from the wants of the mind. Needs are mandatory requirements that cannot be done without. Wants are optional luxuries that do not have to be satisfied. A proper caretaker of a body and mind maintains mastery by meeting the needs and not indulging the wants. The minute a caretaker begins to indulge the wants, a vie for power ensues, and more often than not, the body and mind usurp control, which thereby maneuvers them into the position of being masters of awareness. It's a battle that never really goes away, so awareness must be ever vigilant to maintain command. The body and mind can be very clever and cunning when it comes to getting what they want. So a caretaker must be ever watchful for their artfulness and craftiness in persuasion, guile, seduction, and self-pity. A caretaker that has mastered body and mind has no use for desire has no function in this mastery. A lot of people have this idea that desire plays some central role in the survival of the body and mind, but this simply isn't the case. The body and mind have two types of needs: automatic needs and manual needs, neither of which require desire to navigate by a master caretaker. Automatic needs concern no party, not caretaker body or mind, if functioning in good health. The heart beats, the blood flows, the lungs breathe, and the eyes blink, and desire, nor any other aspect, plays any role in their operation. Manual needs require utilization and action. For the body and mind have these needs called shelter, food, water, sleep, and bladder bowel movements. When the caretaking awareness recognizes a manual need, it fills it. It doesn't need to be bribed to do so. Only when body and mind master awareness does one need desire for survival. So when a person refutes this and argues about the monumental importance and necessity of desire as the key junction to life and survival, all it really reveals is that the person making such an argument is ruled by body and mind. From the perspective of a person ruled by body and mind, it's understandable why they think life is not worth living without desire, for this is all they know. Visceral sensations, pleasure and pain, gratification and craving is their whole world, and there is no frame of reference beyond this. From this, life amounts to nothing but a big roller coaster ride, and any meanings, philosophy, or values assigned are derived from this foundation. So of course life without desire seems boring, pointless, and dead, for how can it compare to a steady diet of cheap thrills and hard pains? And even though a life of sensory stimulation is ultimately unsatisfying, a slave of body and mind will sooner concede that life is not worth living at all than to live a life without desire. This summarizes the quintessential addicted slave. It's kind of like a heroin addict that would rather die than to kick the habit and face life without it. But a life free from desire is like a smooth, soothing, sweet nectar that no feeling, emotion, sensation, or gratification can compare to. It's a supreme serenity and tranquility, free from any disturbances, a lasting, tangible peace that cannot be perturbed. And this isn't a blind recommendation. I am speaking from my own empirical experience. I have absolutely no wants or expectations. And ironically, life is filled with more abundance than ever before. Nothing is lacking. I have not ever gained a thing nor ever lost a thing. Gain and loss are non-existent. It is all but lent, borrowed, and returned. I have no wants, so anything I do receive is truly appreciated and utilized properly. I have no expectations, and therefore I am never disappointed. I am merely a caretaker of a body and mind. I have tamed the body and mind, and therefore am their master. But this is not to say that the body and mind are always compliant. Impulses from body and mind still occasionally arise, but I do not indulge them. They arise, I give them full awareness, and then they fade away. Overseeing a body and mind is actually very low maintenance, and therefore I can extend the caretaking to other bodies and minds as well as to the world. This is my only full-time job, one that has no rewards or punishments, give or take or reciprocation. And that's okay. Things are never boring or exciting, pleasurable or painful, or fulfilling or lacking. Things are what they are, and I only deal with things as they are. Needs are discovered and met with anything that is accessible. That is all, and there is nothing else.